Mum and Son on the Money podcast with Lorraine and Travis from Happy Days Accountants.
Hello, welcome to episode 8 of the Happy Days Accounting podcast, Mum and Son on the Money. We have Mum and Son with us today. Lorraine, hello.
Hi there, everyone.
And Son.
How are we doing, everyone?
Hello, Trav. And we have a special guest today as well. So say hello to Tori.
Hi.
Tori Snell is from Tori Snell Psychology Limited, which sounds very clever to me. And we're going to be finding out a little bit more about your business on the show today. But before we get started, we need to catch up with what's been going on since the last podcast. So Lorraine, you've had quite a busy month, haven't you?
Yes, I have been visiting some clients and they're up north, and while I'm there, I've probably mentioned it before, but I stay at a spa hotel, and it's the most amazing hotel to stay at while you're away working. Absolutely love it. The only issue was it's colder up there. It was 10 degrees colder up there, and every time I've gone up north this summer, and then I've FaceTime Trav down here in his shorts and t-shirts with clear blue skies, and I've been up there shivering and freezing while I've been working away. So it's
true. It's not just something they say that it's grim up north. It really is.
It's grim up north. They haven't got a hosepipe ban either.
Really?
I know. We're going to get a hosepipe from up there down here.
Do you know that I actually quite appreciate the cold weather, because I feel like it's been way too hot here, but you're a sunbathed baby, aren't you?
We said before, no, I'm a sun baby. There's somebody there. I was sitting outside the YMCA cafe yesterday, and the lady that runs the YMCA said, "Hi, on the way out." I said, "Oh, you've got a lovely tan." I said, "Yeah, that's because I sit outside and not inside all the time." So
we've not felt the heat as much this year, because we did have the best purchase of the year this year as well. We both invested in some air conditioning units, and if you haven't done it yet, 10 out of 10 best purchase.
We did it a couple of months before the summer, and and people joked, all that money for one day sort of thing, and I didn't even care when that one day come.
I mean, it's been more than a day this year.
Yeah, it has been more than a day, but if it was one day, I loved it, absolutely loved it.
I think you've been proved right. I think you're one of these people that buy solar panels and will say, "That's a crazy idea," and then suddenly you're making a fortune because global warming and everything, and the sun is just shining so much.
I think it's the way forward. All the Asian countries, hot countries, have got aircon installed, but we don't here because we're not used to it, and I think we're starting to have to get used to it, so better get your aircon in.
It's going to be essential, and I think a lot of businesses need to adapt to the way the climate is changing and making sure that your business is comfortable for people to work in, because no one's going to want to come into the office if it's like a sauna.
Some days that we couldn't have worked. Some days, I think when Tori was in the office, we had the aircon on. We couldn't have worked without it on some of those hot days. Yeah,
it's just not safe. It's just not healthy when it's 37, 38 degrees outside, and it can be even hotter inside. So you've got all the heat coming off your computers and just general body heat, and
it gets unbearable. And I think they were talking about having a legal upper limit on heat, weren't they? I don't know where that went in the end. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that they might, if they haven't, they'll probably put that in eventually.
Maximum temperature to it. That'll get employers to get aircon, won't it?
There you go. You come for the accountancy, you stay for the heat and aircon chat.
Yeah. Well, you see, now that you're an old man, you're 30, aren't you? So you're going to be feeling the temperatures a bit more now.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Cardigan in the winter and your fingerless gloves.
Yeah. Seems like I woke up one day last week turning 30, the bones creaked a little bit more, and suddenly I love birds and talking about aircon units and moaning about the hosepipe ban. Something switched overnight.
Next thing you know, you're watching Country File and University Challenge and The One Show. My dad series links The One Show on his telly because he doesn't want to miss an episode.
No, you're not going to do that, because I don't do any of that, so I know you're not going to. Keep young.
No, I'm getting close to that midlife crisis though. We'll see what that'll
that might have something to do with your daughter. So causing you lots of sleepless nights and issues there. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. So today's episode is going to be incredibly useful if you're at the point in your business where you're setting your business up. Maybe you haven't registered as a limited company yet because you're a sole trader, or you've just not felt there's a need to. Maybe we're going to explain why actually it's quite a good idea to do that. But setting up limited companies is what today's episode is all about, and hopefully there's going to be some stuff in here that you didn't already know, or some things that you knew but you'd forgotten, or you didn't understand how important it was. But the reason why we have lovely Tori with us today is because you're our case study, our example, and the guys here at Happy Days have kind of led you through that process, and hopefully it was pretty painless for you.
Willing guinea pig.
Willing guinea pig.
Yeah.
So I don't know if being guinea pig is a positive thing.
Oh, okay.
I'd imagine they're kind of probing you with electricity and kind of
A
testing
little bit of
those.
the
No, it was a
guinea pig
great
side
experience.
was the new company's house verification, identity verification process. So whilst we know all our companies have signed up to this, and when we need the codes, etc., but we hadn't experienced setting up a company and seeing at what time in that process that came through. So it was ideal to go through the limited company with her and share with everybody, you know, feelings or information that they might require.
So I'm going to go, before we get into this, I'm going to go out with my hot take straight off the get-go.
Straight in there.
Straight in there with a hot take. It is too easy to set up a limited company. That is my hot take.
I don't think it's
It
that
is
controversial.
too
It's so
easy.
easy. You can
Right.
just do it on the internet. Kids
Yeah.
could do it if they borrow their dad's bank cards.
Small
they're
fee.
cracking off.
Small fee for it, you set up a company, it's super easy. But you know what is also easy? Failing to meet your deadlines with your accounts, your confirmation statement, your corporation tax return, getting loads of fines, getting in a mess, and coming to us or another accountant to get it all fixed. So my hot take is it should be more difficult to set up a company. Or at least a
maybe there
test.
should be a course that you have to go on before they let you set a company up, so that you have to basically know all this stuff to avoid that happening. That would save so much.
I think it gives you a false reading, though. It gives you a false reading because, yeah, it feels like it's safe enough to go in the water and do that yourself, and then there are pitfalls, and so it is best to have the support from an accountant.
And at the end of the day, it's your money that is going to cost you, because you've
Yeah.
got to pay all these fines and late filing penalties and things that are just, they're so irritating. It's not like it's a huge amount of money, hopefully. A lot
But they
of the time,
can,
but
They
they
can
can
add
ramp
up.
up.
yeah,
So
but
we-
you just think, if only I'd not been so stupid, I could have saved myself hundreds of pounds. Just
Not
for-
necessarily, you're not being stupid. People aren't aware, you know.
You, don't,
So
you only
it's-
know what you know, and then you
Exactly.
don't know what
Nobody
you don't know.
sits there and tells you if you don't file your confirmation statement every year, you'll be threatened with being struck off and getting fined. If you don't file your accounts on time with Companies House by the deadline, you're going to get fined. And then if you're late filing the next year, you get double fined. And they can add up and add up. And the same with corporation tax. If they're not filed on time, you get fines or penalty points. But there's nowhere at the beginning that tells you this.
There's no cheat sheet. I mean, there is obviously guidance online about when things are due and what you need to do as a company director or owner. But there's nothing during that process of setting up a business that says, hey, here's a list of important dates, things to do, or a little knowledge check to make sure you know what is expected of you. And we've seen so many people we've had people come to us saying this, in this particular case, it was actually a CIC, so there's a charitable aspect to it, and they've come and said, I want to throw in the towel, I can't do it, all these threatening letters, the fines, it's so much stress, and all they wanted to do was help out the community a little bit. And something so simple, because they've gone through, they've set up this, they're like, yeah, I can do some really nice things here, setting up the company was easy, so on, and then it all gets on top of them, and it can cause huge stress for people. And it's like Lorraine said, it's not stupidity, it's just uninformed. There's no course to set up a company, there's no help readily available there unless you go looking for it, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you're probably not going to find it.
And that's one thing we say, no question is stupid. And that's the problem, a lot of people feel stupid. It's not stupid, honestly. Don't feel it's stupid. You just, we're the experts, you're not. I'm not the expert in running a radio station or a podcast. I'm not the expert in psychology, so I will ask you stupid questions, I expect. So, but everybody needs an accountant, so therefore it is. And so this lady had said to me, people have said, if it's giving you that much stress, give it up. And she was in mental health, and how, I was like, no, don't do that. Let's get this all sorted. We've got everything sorted for her. We got the fines reversed. She got reimbursed the fines that she'd paid. And she's now running along with our support and getting on with things. And it's like anything. They can just come to us and we'll give them the answers. And we'll also make sure they don't miss deadlines. We'll notify them. You realise this is happening. If we're doing it, we'll make sure we've got the information. If they want to do it themselves, some of it, like the confirmation statement, a lot of people will do themselves, fine, but we'll make sure they remember to do it and don't come up with any issues.
Yeah, because I think that's part of the problem, that you don't get reminders from Companies House. You might get a letter through the post that you don't. I often don't open them, which is probably part of the problem. But it just looks boring. It's in a brown envelope. You just don't get around to opening it, and then you don't realise that you're late filing whatever you need.
We
to
had
file.
a joke. I think we might have touched on it on our last podcast, maybe, that people were waiting months and months, if not years, for tax refunds or information to be updated or anything. But then a lot of our clients got a letter through the post saying, "Hey, don't forget your corporation tax return is due in over 12 months' time."
Yeah. As soon as your year end, you get a letter.
So there are occasionally reminders for stuff, but you can't rely on it.
There have been so many emails and letters about this new verification thing and making sure that you've verified your identity. If they put that amount of effort into making sure people didn't miss their filing deadlines, then I think it would be fine. But
I mean, fines can pay for all that, can't they?
Well, exactly.
Your letters.
So onto our subject then, setting up a limited company. Let's start up by finding out a little bit about Tori and your business, Tori Snell Psychology Limited. How long had you been kind of operating before you were a limited company?
Since about maybe 3 years.
Okay. Just as a sole trader, doing what you do, helping people. Were you working for
I'm in the NHS as well before.
Right.
I'm actually presently in the NHS as a consultant, and this is my side hustle.
Okay, cool. And then I guess you reached out to these guys because you felt that you needed to take it to the next level and kind of get registered. Yeah,
because I do a lot. It is a rather complex setup because I also work with war-affected countries as well. So there's kind of lots of different aspects to it, and I just wanted to find a good foundation to begin with.
We've been with you with your sole trader account, Travis, particularly for a few years, and now, you decided to go limited company.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to that decision to go limited company?
Because it's, room for growth, really, making room for expanding, because it really did get really quite busy last year, and looking at expansion as much as anything, and making sure I'm ready for that.
And I think you spoke to Travis quite at length about it before you made the decision, which is an important thing. A lot of people sort of set a limited company and then think about an accountant a year down the line, but you've done it at the beginning process, took the right guidance and advice from it, and made the right decision.
That's right. Travis was talking to me about it last year, and I really gave it a lot of thought beforehand, but he provided quite a lot of information, so there's the other advantage of getting in there early and speaking to an accountant.
I think the joy we had with Tori is because we've been working with her for a few years now, we could really set from the ground up and build what we wanted her organisation to look like. So we covered, obviously in this day and age, the benefits that used to be a given for going limited. So it used to be a limited company was more tax efficient in pretty much every way. So it was kind of a canned response of, go limited. That's changed now. It's a lot different. So sometimes a sole trader may be the better option for people, but we had a discussion at length about Tori's personal circumstances, what her plans were for the future, for the business and personally, where funds wanted to go, to figure out what really would be the most tax effective way, and that also lent towards limited company in Tori's case. So being able, it's always great when we get to work with an organisation from the start, because we can really make sure we set it up for success, rather than a year down the line with the panic of setting up accounts. We can't really give the guidance we are able to give at that point.
In my case it was almost a future template really for what it allowed. Having that foundation has allowed me to really think about the future and what I want to do next in terms of diversification, because as you're saying, Trav, it wasn't just about setting up this company. It was about what would I like to do with the funds. Since it's a side hustle, I would like to set aside some for my children and other aspects too. So it was a broader opportunity to think big.
Yeah, I think there's usually a lot more freedom with limited company, which is what helped in your scenario, that we can, for lack of a better term, be a little bit more creative in where we utilise money and claim tax reliefs, and it just worked out far better. I think that did lead to a little bit of feeling a bit daunted.
I was going to say a little bit of fear, yeah.
Yeah.
Until we thought, well, why don't we do this step by step? You guys took me by the hand. It was almost like limited company for dummies, and it was just really reassuring to think we could just go through this step by step. And I'm sure you were saying earlier it's an easy process, but it's also easy to get it wrong. And so it was great to have you guys by my side, just taking me through that step, each step.
I think some of the things that you say there, quite a key point. It's an easy process. I mean, I guess it's easy for us, especially because obviously we've done it quite a bit, but it is
some of the
easy.
terminology we understand in certain shares and details they want, the SIC codes and things like that. That might not be so easy for somebody just setting a company up. Some might make it up as they go along because it's made so easy.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some unique things as well that you can set up for when you're setting up your limited company, which can cause a headache down the line, like selecting your year-end date. Just as a simple example, we've had all sorts of year-ends come through, and ultimately you can have any date you want, but picking around about the 17th of a month probably isn't the most ideal scenario.
And one of them I've got has got the 5th of April. I wouldn't choose that. I know it thinks sense with tax year, but I'd go for the 31st of March if you're going to go around.
Yeah, I think it's too easy to assume is what I learned.
Yes. Yeah.
I think another thing as well, having an accountant on board, something that we touched on, is having your details available on the public register.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there was a big thing with you, and I think a lot of other people have had this question as well.
Like, what will I do with my address once I'm a company director? And you guys helped me think that through too.
Exactly. I mean, as soon as you set up a company, for those that don't know, your details, your it doesn't give you your full date of birth, but generally the month and year of your birth, your full name, your address and postcode, all becomes publicly available online, unless you put something in place to not do that.
And you will get letters through the post and spam emails and stuff, and you get some really dodgy letters from companies pretending to be Companies House or pretending to be trademark registries that try and charge you money to register your company name and stuff. And it's weird that in this age of GDPR that still happens, and that there isn't.
They get that information.
It isn't kept private, because why do you need to put the addresses of directors in the public realm like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially not for small businesses, when it's, again, going, just because Tori's our case study here that we're working with, Tori is at the moment, for all intents and purposes, a one-man band. She's doing her psychology work all over the globe, and there's no benefit really to her address being made publicly available. I mean, that being said, there are ways around it. So we work with Tori. A lot of people will pay for accountants or online services to have a registered office. So you can set your registered office to be one of these offerings.
Yeah, but why should you have to pay to have an address to use as your company's registered office, just to avoid your personal details being made public?
Wow.
It just seems really unfair.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yes.
It's a great point, but unfortunately we don't make the rules on this. It
might be worth. Well, they're not going to listen, are they? There's not a lot we can do, unfortunately. I guess we're not going to go with a banner. Don't put our address up on
It might be worth
Companies House.
appealing it, yeah.
So, just one thing from that. So, in 2028, at the moment, small companies can submit micro-entity accounts. So it gives very basic details of your organisation, and it doesn't give a full profit and loss of your accounts, which a lot of small businesses don't want that going public, what they're spending here and salaries and what their income is. But in 2028, you do have to submit full accounts to Companies House. But what I'd say to you is, remember this, 2 years' time, there is a tick box that says you don't have to make it public. Although you submit it to them and you don't want them public, you can tick that box. I understand that's what's going to happen, so by all means, if you...
But it will presumably all be digital anyway. So.
That's another thing, yes. That was just going in my brain then, thinking it's digital anyway, but I guess you would instruct your accountant to make sure they tick the box if you request it. And we'll probably ask him, or we'll probably just automatically tick it for everybody anyway, unless
Maybe
they want
addresses
to.
can be something similar as well. Because I'll be honest,
That's what
like
they
you
should
say,
have, yeah.
I am quite fed up of receiving capital on tap, credit card notifications every month telling me I'm pre-approved. Other credit cards are available. But yeah,
Funding Circle.
Funding Circle,
well.
they are. You get constant mail from having your address publicly available.
They must spend a lot of money on direct mail, but it must work for them.
It must somehow.
So, yeah.
Some people must come back, I guess, from it all. We just like tear it up and straighten it.
Yeah, straight off
Like.
it goes.
Cool.
So don't bother sending to Happy Days. It's a waste of money. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so what was the process like of setting the company up? Did you find that it was pretty easy, pretty straightforward working with these guys?
I found it pretty straightforward. Well, let me say that I was anxious to begin with, so I think just sitting with you both and normalizing the process for me was the first thing that helped me to feel a little bit more at ease. Straightforward, yes, but really good to have an ongoing sense check with Trav as I was going along. You know, like, what does this box mean, and what's the consequence if I do this? That kind of stuff. So really, it was all about thinking it through with Trav and Lorraine, but
And
pretty
there's some
straightforward.
quite fun bits. So it's quite fun choosing a name for your company.
Yeah.
Although I guess your company is called Tori Snell Psychology Limited, so maybe.
My parents chose that name to begin with, so
Well, yeah.
that was pretty fun.
That was the point
for
to
them.
change your name, though. If you want to, if you've always fancied being a Verity or a.
Well, there was my lost opportunity to do that,
Yeah.
but yet now I just have to stick with the name brand. And
You
yeah,
can change your names at a later date if you decide you want to.
Is this
You
one of
can.
your services that you offer? Identity redeployment.
Who am I? What am I?
We'll help
Yeah.
you as much as we possibly can. You just ask the question. If we can't help, we'll find someone else who will help. Was that a bit of a plug there? Yeah, and it's quite exciting, and it's quite disappointing when you put it in and they won't let you have it. That's
Yeah,
a bit like,
I didn't have
oh,
that problem, so yes.
So
Because I
what kind
remember
of
when I
names do they
applied-
not allow then if it's
already
descriptive,
taken.
or if it's yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted Happy Days Limited, and I couldn't have it.
What was the fonts did he get there first?
No, somebody's already taken it. It's just sitting there. I think they take names and maybe like
Try and
license
sell
plate
them on almost or
sell
something.
on. I'm not so sure. I'll have to delve into that. But yeah, it's sitting there, but there's no accounts. There's nothing happening
A
with
lot
it.
of people-
So you've got the home address of their director, so you can get in touch with you. Oi, mate.
Well,
What's
unless
going
it's a
on?
registered office.
Well,
Yep.
but
A lot of
potentially.
registered.
A lot of
office.
people do set up companies almost like Pokemon. They want to collect them all. Different names. They think it's a cool name, so they'll set up a company.
But they've got to pay their annual company's
They
house
do.
fees and stuff for that.
They
so
do.
it's-
Well, they
I
can
think
file
we've-
dormant accounts, which at the moment they can do themselves. Whether they'll be able to do that after we go digital in 28, and just pay the confirmation
Confirmation.
statements. Filing dormant accounts doesn't cost at the moment. Only filing a confirmation statement, which keeps going up at the
I mean,
moment.
it's still £50 a year at the minute, constantly. But
But
yeah,
sometimes it's worth holding that company, and maybe they hold them. I don't know. If another company fails, they slip into another company. I don't know.
I
And
do have
Maybe.
2 or
money
3.
laundering things all going over the
Yeah,
place. Who
who
knows
knows?
what they're doing? And that's why Companies House has put this identity verification in process, so that it can't just be anybody.
I think it's worth touching on that identity verification because
Pretty
actually,
time-consuming process. That
Yeah,
was
'cause
most time-consuming.
we plan to sit down and go through that with you. So obviously, we've worked with numerous clients where that's come into effect over the last year, where current directors have had to go through this ID verification, get their personal codes, and we'd had to input them to Companies House when we do their confirmation statements. Now, we plan to go through that with you in the early process of setting up a company, but you actually come to us and you'd already gone away and got your personal code.
Yeah.
So we didn't sit there with you on that. I mean, that's no different if you're setting a company or currently running a company, but
But really, if you want to save time, that part is pretty straightforward, just verification process.
yeah, it's just as simple as you download an app, you scan your passport, take a photo of yourself, prove it's you. Now, you say it's fairly straightforward. I have had people had huge headaches with it.
It's a headache if you haven't put your right details into Companies House in the first place. So if you've somebody who sometimes uses their middle name and sometimes doesn't, sometimes you're a Chris, sometimes you're a Christopher, sometimes you're 42A and sometimes you're number 42 because you don't bother with the A because there isn't a number 42. Any little detail like that, or even
Spell your name,
like
own name wrong.
how you write your address, if you write RD instead of road or whatever, any tiny little difference, it will just kick it out and it won't tell you why.
Yeah.
And we went back, so in the end I had to just delete someone as a director and then add them again, copying the details from the address verification, and that worked.
Yeah.
Which you
Well,
shouldn't have to do.
You shouldn't have to do. That's a good little tip for someone if they are going through that. They can.
It doesn't really matter.
It's
does
an
it?
option.
I had one where I think it was their middle name was an issue. So they'd got another company, and I was trying to do the confirmation statement for this company, and we ended up rectifying it. I think I had to change the details on company's house to match what he got. And sometimes I'm not even sure if capital letters are making a difference as well. And it's just a nightmare. It was like,
It is, and if you've
like you
got
say, you
names
don't know
with
why.
apostrophes, or if you've got like Welsh letters that are like an A and an E, and there's just some weird foreign symbol with accents,
Yeah,
you can see how it's just a minefield.
you've got to get it absolutely spot on.
And company's house aren't exactly overly helpful with it. We've found we did give them a bit of a bollocking at an event once, having a bit of a moan about stuff like this, and
We tend to capture company's house and HMRC, don't we, when we go to an event and give them a hard time. So we've got a bit of a hotline to HMRC. We have no hotline to company's house.
No,
There's
need
just
to work
no
on
real help there, is there? So you are on your own. Setting your company up, you are pretty much on your own.
but expected to know everything. But yeah, so that's yeah. I mean, again, if it works, fairly straightforward. It's just an ID check, but it's important it's something that you can't really do the ID check wrong, if that makes sense. You can in the way that it will spit it back and it won't let you do it, but then you can come and speak to one of us and or your accountant, and they can help you. But what I mean is you can't pick the wrong option, for example. You can't.
No, I think getting the code is easy enough, but
Yes.
then the problem is that if then that doesn't match what you've put down, because the code basically takes the details from your passport or driving license or whatever, so it is whatever you've already verified from your birth certificate on your passport. But then it's when it comes to matching it with what's on file,
Yeah,
it becomes a
input
bit of a
company.
nightmare.
Yeah, what you put with company's house, if it differs or anything.
So that's one of the things. So just that ID check is something. If you're planning to set up a limited company and you've already got an accountant that's going to sit down with you and go through the process and explain everything to you, that's something you can do ahead of meeting with them. And if you can get that code and everything sorted, it will speed up the process when you're actually with them. So that would definitely a good.
And it
good
is
point
nice
make.
to have somebody else having to worry about that than having to do it yourself, because trust me, you'll be tearing your hair out. It's one of those, if you find filling in forms and trying to get your driving license sorted or things like that, if you find that really stressful, this is just going to set you over the edge because it's so frustrating. So yeah, giving that job to someone like you guys to worry about.
My husband went through it for the gov.1 login.
Oh god.
And he's lost his rag twice now, so he wants me to sit down and go through it. He's just like, he doesn't like form filling and things like that, and that he's not succeeded for some reason, and he still hasn't done it, and we've still yet to do it.
We
So
started on that.
yeah,
I've got about 5 one logins for.
and we said it's supposed to be the one login, isn't
there's
it?
hundreds of them.
I haven't. I've got more than one login.
I think I set up 4 before I got one to actually work in the end, and now I've just got 4 logins, and I always wonder what one's what.
Yeah, go through them all.
Yeah. One will log me in and tell me it's not connected to a business, and some just won't work. Yeah, it's been a headache.
No, I've got one that's logged onto my driving license, and I've got one that's logged onto self-assessment. I've got one for each of my companies. I've got one for my passport, and it's just
And you're supposed to have one login.
yeah.
And it's just
I mean,
not.
read the name of your service, guys.
I mean, they're not all the services are even added to yet. When you log into the Gov1, there's a list of services enabled, but not everything's there. So there's still stuff. I mean, like a great example that I've been dealing with recently is tax-free childcare credits. That is still through a self-assessment login, not a Gov1 login. So there's things that just aren't in there. So then you've got to manage all these logins. But that is also a good point for setting up a company. You get so many codes thrown at you. Like, people don't know what to keep. I mean, you've seen it setting up a company, all the different numbers and codes you get. I mean, I bet that was a bit of a headache if you didn't get the advice on it.
This is very, very good advice, because that code that you get to log in with Company's House, you think you use it to log in and then it's done and you throw it away. If you really need to keep that code, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Cut and paste job on a Word document. That's what we were doing in the setup.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, so during the setup, you'll get your for corporation
Government
tax,
gateway.
you'll get your government gateway ID and log into that, which is for all your HMRC services. You'll be handed your company number, which could be found again online on the company register. You'll get given an authentication code. That's the one you're mentioning there, Chris, which is important. You can change it and you can request another one, but that's where the headache comes in. If you request another one, it can take up to 14 days to come through.
Yeah, but they'll only post it to you. So if you've got a director who's died and you don't have the authentication code, and you need to change your address, you can't do that without the authentication code, and they'll only post it to the address that's on file.
Yes.
So they'll send it out to the wrong address, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And you
you'll
can't-
go round and round in circles trying to sort that out.
It
You
won't
can't
send it
change the
anywhere
address without the code, and you can't get the code without the
You
address.
can't do change anything or submit anything on Company's House without that authentication
Yeah.
code. That's
I
how
mean,
important
So
it is.
don't
Once-
lose the
Right.
code.
Yeah, if you set up the organisation, once you have used that code, that does give you permanent access to file. But let's say if you forget that login, like say directors change or director passes, you want to engage with a new accountant, you're going to need that code again. And
So it
we've
sounds
had
like
it-
something you got to put in your will.
Oh yes, keep it dead safe.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
important.
'Cause
we
we've
should do a
had
whole
it-
episode on this.
Yeah,
succession
right
on.
planning.
Yeah.
Legacy. Yeah.
We're going into death now. Oh my god.
Oh dear.
It's a happy
Is
day.
that how we do it?
Oh dear, this is like stressful days. We need to talk about something fun. So one of the fun things is, with great power comes great responsibility. Spider-Man quote. When you became a director, did you understand what you were signing up for? Because there's a lot of legal responsibilities with being a director, aren't there?
No, I just thought I'd get a really cool director's chair and get to swivel around in it, but
Did you get the chair?
I didn't yet.
I think you have to fund
I
that
have to
yourself,
justify
but-
that to my accountants as an expense.
So did that get explained to you? What was actually?
The consequences are like the responsibilities that are alongside that. Yes, indeed, they were explained. And important to know in advance. That's again another argument for really having a conversation before you set things up. Like what does this mean, being a director of a company?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, because I mean you saw throughout the whole process, not once do they tell you in clear terms exactly what you need to do and when.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I had to worry about that because you did that for me.
Well, that's the joy, that is
Yeah.
the relief of
Right.
having us on board early, is we manage all that for you and make sure
I could
that
see
we
you
do
like
it.
puzzled and thoughtful, and I thought, well, that's not for me to worry about.
But if you were to do it on your own, obviously you'd have some stumbling blocks, but there is no point that this information you were giving you about the authentication code and your gateway and your identification code, that you're told this is what you need
No.
going forward. You know, when you receive this in the post, keep it in a safe place.
Right.
I think there might be a little note that says like
I was
keep
gonna
it
say,
safe,
yeah.
but no different than any other kind of letter that says keep this safe for your
But when we
records
talked
that
about
you
it,
never touch.
it was about like keeping it, great, keep it safe somewhere, but also just put it in a Word document and then just make sure you got a long list of that stuff, and then print it out, stick it in your box with your will or whatever. Sorry about death again.
I would lose a Word document, so I just take photos on my phone
Nice.
and save
Yeah,
them all
yeah.
in my favourites. So if
Yeah.
you go in my favourites, you think, wow, his favourites are his passport, his driving licence.
I tell you, that's a really
Really
cool
good idea,
thing that a
actually.
lot of phones now do. Is if you take a photo of the letter your authentication code comes on, like an iPhone, you can generally search authentication and it will search for it in your camera roll
Photos,
and you can
yeah.
find it. I was using that recently. I'm obsessed with it. It's great.
It's
Find
really
anything.
handy. And if you type car number plate, you can find a picture of your car with a number plate. If you
Yeah.
forget what your number plate is, or all sorts of things.
Exactly. So if you lose documents and you lose everything else, take a photo of it and then you just go back and search for it. It's great.
Saves
I'm forever
scrolling.
using that. I've got so many photos because I love taking photos. So I'm looking for something, and I don't know how many thousands of photos I've got, and I have to use that search bar to help me out to find my passport or to find anything, or pictures of me, or
Yeah.
pictures of Travis, like
Or when your kids' birthdays are, you can
Yep.
just search
Yeah.
giving birth.
Birthday.
and you
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was the day.
Oh, remember that one.
There's a video I don't want to watch again. Cool. So it's all gone smoothly, presumably.
Yeah.
You're on the other side now, company director.
I'm on the other side as a company director.
Gone
Yes.
through it all. What did you remember about the process? Did it feel?
That
Yeah.
what I remember is that I put it off and avoided doing it for almost a year, and that my takeaway from that is just leave the driving to your accountants. Yeah. So what was your question
So do you
exactly?
think
though?
you would have liked to have done it earlier then?
No, I think it was all right. I think
The right time.
for me, I felt like I wasn't really ready. And the more conversations I had with you guys about it, I kind of got closer to the idea. But I was pretty avoidant for a while.
Did you ever feel like, at this point, all right, I'm ready to
Yeah,
to
when
do
we
this?
met and
Yeah.
let's just walk through this, and thought, well, let's go.
Mhm.
And you made it
Because
a
it's
pretty
quite a
easy
leap
process.
of faith, isn't it?
Mhm.
Setting up a limited company and making that commitment, and
Yep.
it is a jump, a big jump, and you've got to be brave to do it.
Mm.
And if you've got the right support, don't need to be so brave.
Yeah, well, and then when you get to the other side, as Chris asked, it feels, it's a confidence boost, really. figure out.
And
what
you
to
feel
do
like
next.
your company is a bit more legit when it's such and such
Yeah,
limited.
exactly.
You kind of feel like people will take it more seriously.
Yeah, that was a big decision. Was it going to be limited spelt out or LTD? And we decided it was going to be short. Better on the business card as an LTD. So even something as a fine touch as
I
that,
haven't really given
right?
that much thought.
Yeah,
I
it's
just write limited.
it's a lot of
and I thought
characters.
are you not allowed to abbreviate it if you haven't called it LTD?
It's not your official business name, so it's whatever you select on Companies House as the official for your business, as it should be. So it gives you an option pretty much right at the end of the process where it says, do you want to be limited or LTD? And you can select whichever one it is. I mean, ultimately, no one's going to come knock on your door and give you a bollocking for abbreviating it or not, but...
But even those finishing touches really were important to think about. I wouldn't have thought about it either. So I could they were interchangeable, but they're not.
And I think you've also got to make sure that at the point that you register your company, you've got all the other stuff that you need, like your website URL and things. Because once you've registered the company, if you haven't got your URL, somebody else will
Oh no,
will buy it.
I don't have that yet.
Okay, we'll do that quickly before we publish the
Oh dear, yeah, we'll hold this off. Let's get your website sorted. Get that domain name.
Yeah, censor that bit.
We've got a great social media girl that we'll put you in touch with.
She's
Filming our
busy
podcast
registering the website right now. She'll be like, yeah, I've done it for you. That'll be £100.
Yeah.
And the next step as well is setting up your bank account.
Uh-huh.
And then working on your business and promoting your business, etc. from
I
there.
think there's
And
been a
the
lot
software.
that we've discussed since setting up the business in running the finances and things like that, which it seems like you get quite a bit of relief from being able to have that person to ask when it comes to inputting money yourself, paying in as a director's loan, how you can repay yourself, what can be put through the business, what can't, things like that. I mean, we've had numerous conversations going through that sort of question.
Yeah, you're very
so-
good police.
There's a big transition from sole trader, this is all my money and I do what I want, to a business you work for. It's not your money, you work for the business, you're a director, so there's quite a different
It's only your
mindset
money
there.
once you extract it.
Yes.
Through
Pay
dividends,
yourself and pay your
salary.
taxes.
Do you
I
think
forgot-
that's one of the things that people get wrong most when they've started a business is they think it's still my money. They still act as if they're a sole trader and maybe they don't do everything the way that they're supposed to because
The
they're not
biggest
thinking around.
error made by a company owner is, they can earn a minimum salary and then they can pay themselves a dividend out of the profits. Now this is where
Let me just clarify a bit more. Post-tax profits.
that's where I'm going to explain it. They think, oh, we've earned £10,000 profit, I'm taking that in dividends. That is illegal, basically, because if you've made £10,000 profit, you have to take off the tax. So 19% tax off of that, and then you can take 8,100 in dividend after your tax liabilities. That's a really big thing. And then people are in this mindset, oh, profit and loss, 10,000, take that out. You can't, you've got to work out what your tax is, and then it's
These are a bunch of things that we see time and time again. So it's funny, I've personally been dealing with two opposite ends of the spectrum over the last few months. We've had the lovely Tori, who we've been working with for a while. We got involved with nice and early. We guided through the whole process. We've set everything up correctly, and we're ready. We feel like we're ready to really drive the business forward. Comparatively, someone else has come to me. I won't name any names. We had 12 days to file their company accounts. It was all a mad rush at the end. We've had no input from an accountant or any advisor going into this business. Fortunately, this person has done an okay job of everything. It's not a complete state and mess to deal with. But
What's in their accounts? Are there 5 lords of leaping, a partridge, a pear tree, and some gold rings?
Yeah, straightforward, that is it.
Yeah.
Makes it easy, doesn't it?
Sounds easy enough.
but two opposite ends of the spectrum. We had this massive panic at the end of the year. That's the scenario where we can see these sort of, over-declared dividends, which is illegal, or things set up incorrectly, missed deadlines, whatever else that start happening. And 12 days is not a long time to turn around a set of accounts when you don't have an accountancy software like Xero set up, you don't have your authentication code on file.
Because then we have to
You
apply for it.
don't know what your UTR is or your government gateway is.
So was it all on spreadsheets or was it?
It was all bank statements.
Bank statements.
Importing to Xero. Obviously, we've got it all done in the end. We've imported. We've transitioned them to zero and got everything nice and neat going forward. But it's a huge headache and stress. And I can imagine as a business owner, you know, the first thing we tell them is, we've got 12 days. There are lots of things that can cause this to go over a deadline. And then you're going to get fined. You're going to have black marks against your name.
You're not just dealing with them. You've got, those 12 days, you've got all your other clients.
Yeah.
You've got to
suddenly
look
drop
after
everything.
So it's not like you've got suddenly 12 days to just purely focus on
no,
this.
exactly.
And that includes
I've got the
weekend
likes
days.
of Tori, who's been with us for a long time, that I need to help out.
Yeah.
You know,
And you don't want to ring her up and say, sorry, I'm not going to do nothing for 12 days because I've got this
headache that's just landed on my desk.
Or literally
12
thinking about the
days.
12 days. If you remember some of the work you did with our limited company for the community, it was literally Christmas, and we were like, help us out. We're doing a transition because our accountant, we won't name names, left us in the dirt, in the dust, and it was Christmas. It was.
We had a deadline
harrowing.
on the 31st of December,
Absolutely harrowing.
and I think it was about the 10th of December.
Deadlines.
We had to get these accounts in, and of course we had to get them in before Christmas.
Mhm.
And
Because it was a charity as well, they had to be
charity, so they had to be posted, 'cause
yeah.
you can't do digital.
And people were off
so
for
we
Christmas.
Posted, and in the rush of it all, there was one signature missing on the account.
Yes.
But they, we got them into them by about the 21st of December.
Yeah.
But because by the time they looked at it with the Christmas period, and they came back to us on the 3rd of January, something like that. I think we got the email about the 7th of January, so the signature was missing. So, and they slapped
Oh, there was a
a
slap.
fine on us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we did everything possible, and then we pleaded and we argued, and then one body, you just don't get anywhere. We had to pay the fine, didn't we? Because of that, and yet, their delay, if they'd have been working from the 20th to the 31st, we could have all resolved it. So we got a fine, and it was no appeal help, did it?
That's
at all?
right. No, so you got to factor that other stuff in, holidays and everything as well.
Yeah, and so, and of course, when you're turning things around, like the other company in 12 days, and often we've done this, there's a client that we went to so many times, you realise your accounts are due by this date, and ignored us, and then come on D-Day and expect us to turn it around.
Yeah, quite
Sorry.
literally, that was on the deadline day. We'd engaged with this person, we'd emailed them initially. So we like to work, your year end passes, there's no reason to not start work on accounts for a limited company or sole trader even. We start working fairly early, so we ask for the information pretty much day one. Every month an email went out, and then when we got to the last 2 months ahead of the deadline, every week emails were going out, not a single response until the actual day we needed to submit. And at that point we had to kindly say,
too late, mate.
too late, pretty much.
Yeah,
We got other
pretty
work
much.
on.
We can't drop it all, and if you wanted us to drop everything, this will be this cost. So,
Yeah.
and it's not the sort of clients we want to work with either.
No, if they can
We like the
give you
Tories of the world.
So the other thing
not
with the-
politically.
I paid them to say that.
No political preference there at all.
No, I only paid you to say
Also,
that.
with the 12 days notice, so okay, they haven't got their authentication code. Okay, well, we can't submit till we've got that. We wait for that posted. Will that come in 12 days' time? The other thing is, we haven't got time to set you up as an agent so that we can submit and talk to HMRC on your behalf and submit everything through HMRC. That takes time to get the whatever code we get from there to allow us to be
codes.
your agent. So 12 days, that's with weekends in it, just doesn't give you that time to get that information and turn it around. And fortunately, this company did have that information, and we were able to. But we had to submit direct.
We
these-
submitted on D-Day as well. We
Yeah.
managed to get all
Was
the codes and
D-Day.
everything we needed on the deadline day, which was fortunate enough limited company, filed digitally, so it was
Yeah.
accepted and all good. But
Yeah.
huge headache. But
So it's-
doom and gloom aside, I mean, how's it been running the business so far?
Yeah, pretty good so far. Yeah.
You've been out networking and building out that client
Again,
base a
thanks to
little
you
bit?
guys. So just connecting me with the business community and everything, and it feels like I'm legit in the community. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you got that limited after your name. That's
Uh-huh.
it. We're legit.
Crystal.
You're crystallised in business.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, it's quite.
I think opening a bank account is also a massive bonus of being a limited company, because it makes it so much easier to get a bank account in the business name. And I feel like a lot of sole traders probably run it through their personal accounts before they get to the point that they're set up as a limited company. So I think that's another
Right.
massive opportunity in just making sure that you do set your bank account up and kind of.
That's an
move on.
accountant's
that's the
nightmare
guidance.
when you've got sole traders and their personal business all going through
But that's
that.
the guidance you gave me in the beginning before I even set up this limited company. Was like, do this, even though you're a sole trader. It's just separate this stuff out.
Yeah.
So again,
You know, you don't want to expose all your personal expenditure
Yeah.
to the accountant.
Right.
We're only
Remember it.
interested in your business.
I
so-
don't want to see your monthly expense to OnlyFans. That's fine. You can keep that private. That's fine by me.
That wouldn't have been the first thing I thought of, but yeah, there you go.
Not speaking from experience at all there, not at all.
I bet
sorry.
you've seen some interesting things on people's bank statements, though.
There's been some stuff. We try and avoid it because we try and get people to set up separate business bank accounts. We are only bothered by
Right, yeah,
the
'cause
business transactions.
It's like it's just stuff to go through. We don't want to go. We just want to find what we need to do. And what you find with people is you'll say, "What was this for?" And then they're defending themselves why they've spent that money. We don't actually care. We just know, is it a business expense and where do we allocate it to? That's all we're interested.
Yeah.
But, you know, unfortunately it's personal to people and, you know, get very defensive, and we're not criticising you. We just want to know, is it a business expense and where we're going to put it? Straightforward as that. You know, I don't care what you spent it on. It's your responsibility, you know. So here we go. Right.
So I think the moral of the tale today is that don't try and do it on your own. Get some professional advice because there's so much more to it than you might have thought of. And don't worry that it's going to cost you an absolute fortune, because if you talk to the right people and you work with local companies that are there to support you, it's affordable, because otherwise people wouldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to afford to, because small businesses and new startups aren't rolling in money, but accountancy is something that it should be on your list of kind of critical expenses that you can't manage
I
without.
think also just being able to speak to someone early as well. There's one more thing, is it allows you to see whether it is the right course of action for you, because I will point out limited company accountancy fees are generally more than a sole trader. It does cost more. There's more regulatory guidance and framework to adhere to. There's more statutory deadlines. There's more filing fees. It costs more to run a limited company. So it's not right for everyone. You know, there might be certain ways you can save on tax, but if it's just generally for a one-man band in a lot of situations, the negligible tax saving you'll have is quickly outweighed with accountancy costs and filing fees. So just being able to understand, is it right for me? Is that the route I want to go? Getting someone on board early, you can figure out whether it is the right thing. You can find out what an accountant will cost you either route that you go, what sort of tax estimation you can have, and make an educated decision whether a limited company is right for you, whether you want to go sole trader, or whether you can look into CICs, CIOs if you're in a charitable nature. You can look into all this stuff that otherwise you might jump into a limited company and then be shocked when your accountant charges you, I don't know, out of the top of my head, £1,000 or whatever for everything, whereas a limited sole trader's far cheaper. So yeah,
I have a
think
question though, if you don't mind. Like, what is it? Can you give guidance about like on a rule of thumb? Like, what would be like if you start to earn X amount and consider moving forward?
It used to be you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's case by case. Like I say, when we discussed it with you without going into your personal situation on air too much, we talked about pension plans. We talked about plans with children. We talked about plans on business growth and leaving funds within the business.
Yep.
You know, one of the biggest
the
things
gap
there
year.
is for the gap year. That's it. For limited companies, you can leave funds in a business and only pay corporation tax. Sole trader, you can't do that. You've instantly got to pay income tax. So we talk about what your plans are, and then you can look at your tax. There's no rule of thumb to say you earn X, do X. It's very much case by case. But yeah.
You see, what I was going to say is that the beauty of working with an accountant is that you won't just do what you're asked to do. You'll talk it through and you'll sense check it, and you'll say, look, are you sure this is the right thing to do? Whereas if you, I don't know, there's probably websites that will do it for you where they just do exactly what you ask them to do. But I think the beauty of talking to a human being is that you get that extra brain to say, look, I see why you want to do that, but actually have you thought of doing this instead that would also achieve the same thing, and maybe setting up a limited company isn't going to be best for you.
Definitely. And that's an ongoing conversation as well. That's not something that now Tori's got a company, we're not going to go, cool, you got a company, off you go. You know, it's an ongoing conversation. Is it still right for her? Is there as plans and information changes, so might your direction of travel in the business world. So
But we're part of the business growth. If they don't grow, we don't grow. So we like to support you in any way, making sure you do grow and make the right decisions there. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story, Tori.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for
And
the
I
invitation.
guess if anybody needs any psychological help, then that's what you do.
That's it.
You've got such a calming demeanour. I feel like I would like to lie on a couch and tell you all of my issues with my parents and whatever it is. It's always the parents, isn't it?
Sometimes it's
surprised
the
you're
cats.
You're
The
still
cats.
sitting now, actually. Go back.
Yeah, I'll just start opening up. Here we go. So what are we going to be doing next month? What's coming up?
Well, I'm off to Laos in a few weeks' time. So there's some children in a village in Laos, in Luang Prabang, and they have very little. Often their education ends at 12 because the families can't afford to send them to school, can't afford the uniforms and the books and pens, etc. So since I visited them a few years ago, I've been supporting them ever since because the schools often run out of drinking water. So, and there's a guy called Sai in the village, and he gives free English, maths, and Lao lessons every evening to the children in hope to give them a better future. So what I'm doing, people have been donating to me some children's clothes and children's toys. So we will take a suitcase over there, and it'll be amazing because the children just are so excited and absolutely love these things that we bring over, and then we'll be spending time helping them with their English lessons. So that's me for the next month.
I should have gone first because mine's far less charitable.
What are you doing?
I'm off to Morocco for a week just for my wife and I's anniversary. We have a annual Happy Days bank holiday on the 2nd of September.
Yep, closed.
Yeah.
We're on
Shut up shop.
anniversary.
It's both for our anniversaries. With our significant others, obviously not together. That'd be a bit strange.
We're
on the
both
second,
married on the same day, so we've got the same day
so
anniversary.
we shut up shop. We're off to Morocco. You're off to Laos.
I'm off to
well,
Jordan.
You're off to Jordan as
Yeah,
well.
to the first inaugural war trauma conference to support the people of Gaza.
Oh wow, you're both.
Wow.
I feel in the shadows here.
Oh, I didn't mean that. Like,
no,
to
mine
outdo
feels
you.
too greedy. I'm
No,
going off to
no,
enjoy
no,
time
no.
myself.
Do good,
You
do
two are
good.
being very
You
charitable.
can pay it forward later.
It's very pleasurable doing that type of work.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
That's why.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for coming in on the show, everybody, today, and we will see you on the next episode of the Happy Days Mum and Son on the Money podcast. Thank you,
very
guys.
much.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Chris.